Smokey says hi. Look at her sitting back there on her blankie. Okay, we have got so much exciting stuff to talk about today. I cannot wait to dive into it. So here we go. Don't forget to hit the like button and turn on notifications. Click that little notification bell so that you don't miss any of my videos, because I notice sometimes some of them get a little lost. They don't get a lot of views the first day, and then several days later they get more views. So it's like people are not seeing them right away, and then YouTube doesn't push them out as much. You know, we're all fighting the YouTube algorithm here. Okay, so first book I read, Watch Your Back by Terry Parlato, is a book that was actually written as part of a series, but it's not advertised that way, weirdly enough. I ended up finding out that it was part of a series when I went on Goodreads to rate it after I got done reading it. On Amazon, it does not show up as a series, which I think is very strange. But anyway, it's following like a female detective, Rita, and then every one of the books is a different situation with different characters. The only ones that are the same is Rita is the detective figuring out what's going on in the story. So it reads fine as a standalone. I wouldn't let that stop you from reading it as a standalone, because it was fine. I hadn't read any of the others, although I have added them to my TBR because I do want to read them. I liked this. I gave it 5 stars. So this is a fast-paced whodunit domestic thriller that follows psychiatrist Eva Thayer, her husband Nathan, and their baby girl is kidnapped. And there are lots of suspects. It kept me on the edge of my seat. I never figured it out. Trust me, you will love this. I thought it was weird that in the blurb, like, it didn't sound like it would be as good as it would just from reading the description that they gave it, because in the description they didn't mention that the baby gets kidnapped. So I debated, should I say that? Is that a spoiler? But I went to the Amazon reviews. A lot of people mentioned that the baby was kidnapped, so they didn't feel like that was a spoiler. And honestly, I don't feel like that's a spoiler at all. I would have preferred to have known it ahead of time, because I think it would have made me more interested to read the book, because that happens early on in the story. So to me, that makes it not a spoiler. I'm not giving away something that is, you know, the story is very involved and a whole lot of stuff happens after that. So good. So good. You will love this one. Okay, next. The Family Inside by Katie Garner is the story of Iris, recently widowed, who has just lost her job and her home. And her new boyfriend generously offers for them to move in, her and her daughter to move into his mother's creepy old mansion. She is shocked to discover that he has siblings she knew nothing about living there too, and that is just the beginning. This house holds so many dark secrets. Now, something very interesting about this book was about maybe 3/4 of the way through, I think it was, she finds something that I think is so unrealistic. So I was already in my head preparing a rant to say, I have a bone to pick with this author. This was so unrealistic. Nobody would ever do this. Why? Well, guess what? When I got to the end, she had a very good explanation for why they did this very unrealistic thing. And I was like, I literally said out loud, oh, okay, that makes sense then. You'll know what I'm talking about when you get there. I can't say again because I don't want to spoil it. But yes, so don't stop reading when you get there, because I have actually DNF'd books before when something is just so unrealistic that it annoys me, and I'm like, this is crazy. Nobody would ever do this. Like, I'm not reading this. It's just too unrealistic. Well, the story was good enough that I didn't DNF it, but just in case you might be tempted to DNF it when you get to this and you're like, nobody would do that. Hang in there. She's got a good reason for it. You will love it. Okay, next. This is very interesting. I've got 2 books. The funny thing is I read Truth, Truth, Lie first by Claire McGowan. And then I read People to Follow by Olivia Worley. Well, I wish I had read them the other way around, because this book actually came out first and then this book came out. You say, why are you telling me this? Why do I need to know this? Well, the odd thing is, it's almost like one of them stole a plot from the well, it's almost like she stole a plot from her, because this book actually came out first. Okay, I have never in my life, maybe it's because I read these two one right after the other, but I'm telling you, the plot, I don't know how different a plot has to be for an author not to have stolen a book. And I'm not saying don't read these. They both were excellent reads. I loved them. If I recall correctly, I gave them both 5 stars on Goodreads. It was a fantastic plot. I enjoyed both of them. I would have preferred not to read one right after the other, though, because both of them involve people stranded on an island. I love that plot. They were just there for different reasons in each of these stories. Like here, they're there for a birthday party, a 40th birthday party celebration. Here, they're going there for a reality show. So, you know, they were there for different reasons. Okay, but they're both on an island. Some people even die in the exact same way, which I know there's only a certain amount of ways people can die on an island, I guess, but this was a little specific, I felt. Like, even down to, I don't know if I should say that. But anyway, you'll see if you read. My recommendation would be pick one of these and read it. Definitely don't read one right after the other like I did, or you're going to be like, what? This is just the same story all over again. They're both fantastic. Pick one. So, yeah, it even... What I loved, and because I was reading this one first, what I loved was that by the time you get to the end, there was something very different about this plot that stood out from others. And I wish I could say without giving a spoiler, but I really can't, because it definitely would be a spoiler. So I can't say that. But I'm just going to leave it at saying that you've, I'm sure like me, read plenty of thrillers where people are stranded on an island and one by one they're getting picked off. Okay, well, this was very different. At the end, it had a very different ending, and you're like, wow, okay, that's really something. But then in the same way, you know, this ended the same way as this did, in the sense that it was not your typical scenario for people stranded on an island and getting picked off. I can't say anything more without giving a spoiler. You'll know when you read it. So, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Claire McGowan stole from Olivia Worley? I don't know. I don't know how different they have to be. Both were fantastic, though. So I'm definitely not saying don't read them. I'm just saying pick one, because they're way too similar for you to read one right after the other like I did. Okay, and then, oh my goodness, I would have given this one. Oh, one other thing I wanted to say about those is both of them involve a ton of characters. So what I did is, as I was reading it, I wrote out the characters and identifying information about them. And then as I was reading the book, I kept glancing back at it, because when you're dealing with, you know, like 10 people on an island, and there's that many characters, and it's continually going back and forth between all the characters, it's almost impossible to keep track of who's who at first. So I highly recommend, if you read one of these, write out all the characters, because you won't be able to keep track of them otherwise. Okay, so Cross My Heart by Megan Collins. Oh my goodness, I would give this 10 stars if I could. It was fantastic. I have also read by Megan Collins and loved Behind the Red Door. I also gave that 5 stars, and The Family Plot, which I also gave 5 stars. I have not yet read Thicker Than Water or The Winter Sister, but I have really enjoyed her other 2 books. I loved this one as well, so I highly recommend this author. Fantastic. The plot follows Rosie, who has had a heart transplant, and she connects with the widower of the woman whose heart she received through an anonymous service called Donor Connect, and she starts to fall in love with him. But some people think that he caused his wife's death. He is a famous author, so he's well known. It turns out he lives in the same town not far from where she lives. This story is just fantastic. There are a lot of suspects in this story. You're trying to figure out what is going on. There are shocking twists. I did not guess the real culprit. It was a complete surprise to me. It was just absolutely fantastic. I loved the female friendship in this story. It had a feel-good, happy ending, which you don't always get. As a matter of fact, you rarely get in a thriller. And no, that is not a spoiler to say that, because there's no way, just me saying it's a happy ending, trust me, it doesn't mean what you might think it does. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. If you read none of the other books in this video, read this one. This is my top favorite. They were all very good, but that one is my top favorite. Absolutely fantastic. Loved it. Okay, I will see you all possibly Monday for a small book haul. I'm not sure. I've got like 5 books to pick up at the library, which that's not a very big book haul, but I mean, it's a few. I can't get a lot of books right now because I still have a lot to read, and I'm trying to get them all read before they're due at the library. This one, which one was it? Yeah, Truth, Lie is overdue, so ouch. I had to quickly read that. So yeah, I've got to read. Like, I've got to read. I really can't be getting a lot of books right now because I'm getting behind. I'm probably more behind than I've ever been. So I've got a lot of reading to do. So anyway, I'll probably see you Monday for a quick, short book haul. Alrighty. See you next time. Bye.